What if I told you that everything you were taught about space being too expensive and too dangerous for regular people was deliberately allowed to stay that way for decades? And one company decided to flip the entire system upside down. Not for fame, not just for profit, but because they genuinely believe humanity is one bad day away from extinction on this planet? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will completely change how you see the sky above you tonight. For most of human history, getting anything into space cost an absolute fortune. We're talking about $54,500 per kilogram to reach low Earth orbit using traditional rockets in the early 2000s. That's the weight of a small dog costing more than most people's yearly salary, just to go up. And every single rocket, used once, then dropped into the ocean like a paper cup. Imagine buying a brand new Boeing 747, flying it once from New York to London, then throwing it into the sea. That's exactly what was happening in space travel, and nobody was seriously challenging it. Then came SpaceX. Founded in 2002 by Elon Musk with $100 million of his own money from selling PayPal, SpaceX entered the scene with a goal that most aerospace engineers laughed at. Musk wanted to make humans a multiplanetary species, specifically by establishing a self-sustaining city on Mars. Not a research base, not a flag in the ground. A city, with people living, working, and being born there. But here's the controversial part that most people miss entirely. Musk didn't start SpaceX because he thought Mars would be a nice adventure. He started it because he believes Earth is fragile. He has publicly stated multiple times that a civilizational-level catastrophe, whether from nuclear war, asteroid impact, or engineered pandemics, could wipe out humanity entirely. Mars, in his view, is not a backup plan. It's a survival plan. And if that doesn't make you stop and think, nothing will. Now here's where the science gets genuinely stunning. SpaceX developed the Falcon 9 rocket, and for the first time in history, they made orbital rocket boosters land themselves back on Earth, vertically, like something straight out of a science fiction film. But this isn't fiction. As of 2024, SpaceX has successfully landed and reflown rocket boosters over 200 times. The same booster that carried satellites into orbit last month might carry astronauts this month. This single achievement slashed the cost of reaching orbit dramatically, bringing it down to roughly $2,700 per kilogram on the Falcon 9, nearly a 95% reduction from older systems. Let that sink in. A 95% cost reduction in 2 decades. And they didn't stop there. Enter Starship, the most powerful rocket ever built in human history. Standing at 121 meters tall, taller than the Statue of Liberty with its pedestal by a significant margin, Starship is fully reusable, meaning both the booster and the spacecraft itself land back and fly again. During its 4th integrated flight test in June 2024, both the Super Heavy booster and the Starship spacecraft successfully survived re-entry and performed controlled splashdowns, a jaw-dropping engineering milestone. SpaceX's own estimates project that Starship could eventually reduce launch costs to as low as $100 per kilogram. That number, if achieved, would open space access to universities, small nations, private researchers, and eventually, ordinary people. But wait, people always say, why spend money on space when we have problems on Earth? And this is where I'm going to respectfully challenge that thinking, because it's one of the most commonly repeated misunderstandings about space investment. The technologies developed through space programs have already given us scratch-resistant lenses, memory foam, water filtration systems, CAT scan technology, and modern weather forecasting, all direct spin-offs. SpaceX's Starlink satellite internet constellation, with over 6,000 satellites currently in orbit as of 2024, is already delivering high-speed internet to remote communities in Africa, rural America, disaster zones, and conflict areas where no cable could ever reach. Space isn't separate from Earth's problems, it's actively solving them. Now here's the part that should genuinely give you goosebumps. NASA has contracted SpaceX's Starship to land astronauts on the Moon under the Artemis program, the first human lunar landing since Apollo 17 in 1972. We are months, not decades, away from humans standing on the Moon again. And after the Moon, Mars. SpaceX has stated its ambition to send uncrewed Starship missions to Mars as early as 2026, with crewed missions potentially following in the late 2020s. The Mars transit distance means a journey of roughly 6 to 9 months, depending on orbital alignment. And SpaceX is engineering Starship specifically to make that journey survivable, comfortable, and eventually affordable. The audacity of that vision is almost incomprehensible. In less than 25 years, one company went from a first rocket that exploded on the launch pad 3 times to building the most powerful launch vehicle in human history, landing rockets autonomously, servicing the International Space Station, deploying thousands of internet satellites, and preparing to take humans to another planet. They failed forward, spectacularly, publicly, without giving up. And that's the real lesson buried inside all of this engineering and astronomy. The cost of human ambition, when it's driven by genuine purpose, is always worth paying. Because a species that stops reaching outward eventually stops growing altogether. Follow this page right now if you want to stay ahead of the biggest story of our generation. Because the era of multiplanetary humanity isn't a dream anymore. It's a construction project. Now I want to ask you something seriously, and I want your honest answer in the comments below. If SpaceX offered you a seat on a Mars mission knowing you could never return to Earth, would you go?